2014年1月份出版嘅 Report 內容第24點，當中提及美國醫療制度嘅崩潰。奧巴馬嘅醫療改革法案視為佢任職總統以嚟最重要嘅法案，甚至於2013年，民主黨與共和黨因為醫療改革法案嘅分歧，導致聯邦預算案唔能夠通過，最終令聯邦政府停止運作。但最終法案亦獲得通過。其實美國醫療制度奉行用者自付嘅原則，只提供少量公共醫療服務，主要係為65歲或以上長者提供醫療保健 Medicare 計劃，及為低收入家庭、孕婦或殘障人士提供醫療補助 Medicaid 計劃。絕大部分人都係由僱主為員工購買醫療保險，或個人自行購買醫療保險。而奧巴馬嘅醫療改革法案 Affordable Care Act 原意就係建立公營醫療保險平台 Marketplace， 提供補貼，將醫療保險費用降低，但同時間亦以罰款方式強制更多市民購買保險，或將其私人保險轉到公營保險當中。此外，法案亦管制私營醫療保險，降低投保門檻，令保險公司唔能夠拒保。但其實奧巴馬醫改計劃只係另一次製造問題、演繹問題、提供答案嘅手法，去達至共濟會更深層嘅目的，就係令美國人民投票通過法案，自願交出主權，讓政府進一步控制人民。原來美國原先已有85% 市民有醫療保障，即大部分人已有醫療保障。今次以協助窮人，讓所有人亦有醫療保障為藉口。雖然政府似係投放大量金錢補貼，進一步增加政府財政負擔以救助窮人，但係卻成為政府透過保險公司去壟斷市民醫療嘅手段。就係如911事件，美國政府以反恐為藉口奪取人民嘅自由，讓美國成為監控城市。同樣，呢次醫改計劃就係要奪去人民如何醫治自己嘅權利。藉着透過保險公司以控制成本為藉口，政府可以控制病人嘅治療方案，選擇用邊一種藥物去醫治病人。反而投保人唔能夠自己選擇如何醫治自己，更加唔可能抗拒唔食某一種藥物。而政府與藥廠、醫療集團千絲萬縷嘅關係，確保咗佢哋喺全民醫保外得到最多嘅金錢。
Now to a story we're always covering, the revolving door between legislators and lobbyists, probably because the hits just keep on coming. We've been collecting files on the people who make a living hopping back and forth between the public and private sector. These people earn connections and power in the public sector, which they can leverage into higher salaries in the private sector. Of course, it's a win-win for these individuals to go back and forth, but who loses out? Well, regular people whose interests are put on the back burner in favor of big business. Who's the latest deserving of a mention? A woman by the name of Elizabeth Fowler. Now, Liz has been going back and forth between the public and private sector her entire career, specializing in the health industry. And she hit the big time as the top healthcare aide to Senator Max Baucus of Montana, now the chair of the Senate Finance Committee. She went off to WellPoint, the largest health insurance provider in the country, but she made it back to the public sector just in time to draft the Affordable Care Act. While Obamacare and healthcare reform in general was lauded as a progressive step, it was also a boon for insurance companies. And that is because everyone, by law, everyone needs to buy insurance through private healthcare providers like WellPoint. Listen to this Bill Moyer's report from 2009 when he explains why healthcare reform might be tainted by private interests.
The health insurance industry alone has 6 lobbyists for every member of Congress, and more than 500 of them are former congressional staff members.
Well, after Fowler wrote the law, President Obama called upon her to oversee its implementation. And as you can see, her job as the special assistant to the president was a pay drop from her job at the Senate. So perhaps it was time for a salary increase, which she is most assuredly getting at her new gig at Johnson & Johnson. Fowler already received $630 to speak with Johnson & Johnson executives back in 2002. This is according to Legistor. So add Liz Fowler to the revolving door list. And if you want to thank her for the health care bill, make sure to address that letter to Johnson & Johnson's office in D.C.
更甚嘅係，政府可以強制僱主購買由政府定義為基本服務嘅醫療保險，內容包括墮胎藥，否則可以以每位員工每日100美元稅款為罰金。因此，2014年3月25日，高等法院審理基督徒所開辦嘅公司 Hobby Lobby 所提出嘅訴訟 Sebelius v. Hobby Lobby Stores Incorporation 一案，就係 Hobby Lobby 希望法庭給予豁免，喺僱員醫療保險當中唔包括能夠墮胎嘅藥物。原因 Hobby Lobby 認為為員工提供墮胎保障有違佢哋基督教墮胎等同謀殺嘅教義。而由於 Hobby Lobby 僱用超過13000名員工，因此罰金係每日130萬美元，相等於每日1000多萬港元。對於基督徒嚟講，當然呢個係一宗瘋狂嘅案件，但亦突顯出奧巴馬醫療改革嘅真正目的係為咗壟斷人民嘅醫療方式，甚至係為666系統出台而鋪路。原因將來政府可以以減低醫療開支、減低保費為藉口，強制美國人植入能夠監察身體情況，甚至醫治身體嘅聰明晶片。
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This past week, the Supreme Court heard a case, Sebelius against Hobby Lobby, dealing with whether or not a company can be forced to sell certain products, such as birth control pills or pills that can cause an early abortion. And of course, Hobby Lobby says no, they don't want to. They have religious liberty, and yet there's a mandate. And mandates comes from economic planning and various other reasons. So the issue for me should be, does the government have the right to impose mandates? I don't think it's a religious, this is not religious liberty that we're talking about, and yet it's been played off on this, and it's played off in saying, well, if somebody has personal liberty, they can do what they want and say, and somebody else say, well, they can't impose their religion on me, and government has the absolute right to tell business people what they can do and can't do. But the headlines were strictly related to religious liberty, and the Wall Street Journal was Obamacare versus religious liberty. Should your bosses, and this is U.S. News, this is USA Today, should your bosses' faith affect your health benefits? And another one, opposing views, uphold family religious values. So they've turned this into a religious argument, and I don't think it should be. I think this should be a basic principle. What is acknowledged in this when it goes into the details and the pros and cons of what you can do under a religious conviction, it ignores the whole principle of government mandate. This is the whole issue. And of course, the courts have already ruled on this, that yeah, the government can rule on mandates as long as the penalty is a tax and not a penalty. So it was this technicality. But that is where the real evil was done. In a truly free society, a government, whether it's the Congress, the President, or courts, can't come along and saying that we're going to mandate you do this and dictate you do this, we're going to regulate this, we're going to provide free services here. And that is the principle that should be defended. But by arguing the case on what mandate you can issue, I think we get grossly misled. So they're reducing this to religious liberty. And of course, I sympathize with the whole fact that Hobby Lobby shouldn't be forced to do this. If they don't follow the mandate by the courts and by Obamacare, they can get fined $1.3 million a day. Now, how can that be fair? But it isn't their religious liberty that's being violated. It's the fact that government shouldn't be able to put mandates on individuals like this. And the court ruled early on that the whole law was permissible and everybody could be forced into it. So then it's up for grabs. Then it becomes a political football. Just think of many people that the president arbitrarily just allowed to opt out. They're his friends. All right, you don't have to do it. And now this is another one. We're going to get into the deep details of what regulations are going to be permitted or not. What mandate are we going to have? And some people are worried that if the principle of picking and choosing mandates, this could harm Obamacare. Of course, the real principle is that people should have freedom of choice, and everybody should come together in freedom of choice. If it's a social association, it should be a voluntary choice, no force.
2014年1月嘅 Webbot 預計，奧巴馬醫療改革最終會崩潰。事實上，除咗政府開設嘅醫療保險交易平台喺2013年10月推出以嚟，故障不斷之外，因政府強制投保嘅緣故，讓上百萬份喺私人機構買下嘅平價保單，因投保範圍唔符合新法例所提及嘅基本項目而被取消，而被迫購買更貴嘅保單。喺奧巴馬嘅醫療改革下，最終保險公司可以賺取更多嘅保費。
Last week, approximately 1,800 New Jersey children's insurance plans were canceled because of Obamacare. New Jersey had a low-cost insurance coverage plan called Family Care Advantage, which did not meet the minimum coverage requirements set out by Obamacare. Family Care Advantage was offered by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey and was made for people who make too much money to qualify for Medicaid. The plan, which costs parents just $144 a month for medical, dental, and vision coverage, lacked coverage for things like mental health services, which is a requirement of Obamacare, which deemed the plan illegal and shut it down last week. The Obamacare plan offered by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey has a $1,500 minimum deductible, and most families whose plans were canceled are ineligible for Obamacare subsidies because they make too much money. This means many of these children will now be uninsured going forward.
種種嘅漏洞令共和黨人對醫療改革提出反對。美國衛生與公共服務部部長西貝利厄斯 Kathleen Sebelius 最終於2014年4月11日決定引咎辭職，由白宮管理和預算辦公室主任 Sylvia Matthews Burwell 接任。事件亦初步應驗咗 Webbot 嘅預測。